Good evening and warm welcome of everyone. Today I will start with the general questions. Why do we do a monthly market strategy? So it is to update our clients and audience on how macro data is spreading and how intelligent investors are taking advantage of opportunities. If you track this data regularly, you can also know that what is happening in the market and how you can make an informed decision in the market. If you follow us regularly, then also you will come to know a lot of things and you will get a lot of insight into what is happening on the macro front. In the recent time, how did Fed try to control inflation, or I can say how commodities and currency acted accordingly, which Mr. Pankaj will guide on us on it. He is with Kotak PCG Research and has expertise in tracking infra, capital goods and chemical companies. सो दोस्तों, आज का प्रेजेंटेशन हम लोगों ने इसीलिए रखा है कि कुछ मैक्रो डेटा के ऊपर बात करेंगे। काफी अच्छे बहुत सारे हम कुछ ग्राफ लेके आए हैं और एक क्लैरिटी आएगी कि जो फेड से जो भी मूवमेंट होती है या तो इन्फ्लेशन कंट्रोल करने के लिए हम जो बैंकर्स होते हैं जो भी स्टेप्स लेते हैं, उसके बाद जो बाकी के डेटाज होते हैं कमोडिटीज, करेंसी, बॉन्ड, यहाँ पे कैसे उसका इम्पैक्ट आता है और उसके बाद एक्चुअली मार्केट कैसे शेप अप करता है, इन चीजों को बताने के लिए और इन चीजों को अगर हम रेगुलरली अगर अपडेट करेंगे और अगर आप अगर हमें फॉलो करेंगे ऑन रेगुलर बेसिस, तो आपने देखा होगा कि अक्टूबर से लेके अभी तक यानी कि ऑलमोस्ट 9 मंथ्स अगर आप देखें तो 9 मंथ्स में हमने कई बार ऐसे डेटा को प्रेजेंट किया है कि जिसमें पता चला कि अभी इन्फ्लेशन बढ़ रहा है या तो बॉन्ड यील्ड बढ़ रहा है, उसकी वजह से शायद इक्विटी मार्केट्स में थोड़ा करेक्शन आ सकता है। और अभी एक स्टेज ऐसे ही आ गई है कि जहां पे हमने देखा है कि इन सब डेटा के ऊपर कंट्रोल हो रहा है धीरे धीरे और मार्केट्स में हमने थोड़ी बढ़त देखी है। लेकिन इन सब के ऊपर एक स्पेसिफिक प्रेजेंटेशन देने के लिए हमारे साथ पंकज है और आज पंकज हमें इस बारे में पूरा एक्सप्लेनेशन या प्रेजेंटेशन देंगे और इस पर्टिकुलर प्रेजेंटेशन के ऊपर आप प्लीज फोकस कीजिए क्योंकि ये जो डेटा होता है ये काफी इंपॉर्टेंट होता है और अगर आप इनमें से अगर कुछ अगर नोटिंग्स कर लेते हो तो हमें लगता है कि आपके लिए आने वाले दिनों में, आने वाले महीनों में ये काफी इजी, आसान हो जाएगा कि इस पर्टिकुलर मार्केट को ऑन अ ब्रॉडर बेसिस कैसे ट्रैक किया जाए। साथ ही साथ हमारे पास टॉपिक्स है और Q&A के लिए हमने बहुत सारा टाइम आपके लिए रखा हुआ है। सो ओवर टू पंकज।
थैंक यू श्रीकांत। तो गुड इवनिंग एवरीवन। तो मैं आपको स्टॉक्स एंड मार्केट स्ट्रेटजी पे के प्रेजेंटेशन के थ्रू लेके जाऊंगा। तो लेट मी शेयर द स्क्रीन फर्स्ट। तो जैसा कि हमारा जो प्रेजेंटेशन का फ्लो है, इसमें वी विल डिस्कस अबाउट हाउ द मार्केट्स हैव परफॉर्म्ड लास्ट मंथ and overall if you see how the various macro factors has impacted market, that's why we have seen last month was quite strong in terms of market returns. तो उसमें FI flows, inflation, इनफैक्ट कुछ ग्लोबल लेवल पे चैलेंजेस भी हुई हैं, जैसा कि देखा होगा आपने, इन्फ्लेशन इज क्वाइट हाई इन यूएस एंड अदर डेवलप्ड मार्केट। एंड उसके बाद हमने देखा कि जो फेड का एक्शन हुआ है रेट हाइक के फ्रंट पे और अर्निंग्स जो हम देख रहे हैं डोमेस्टिक मार्केट पे, ये सारा कुछ अभी हम आगे डिस्कस करेंगे। सो फर्स्ट आई टेक यू थ्रू हाउ द मार्केट्स हैव परफॉर्म्ड इन जुलाई। सो अगर पास्ट 3 months की बात करें तो दैट वाज क्वाइट वीक इन टर्म्स ऑफ मार्केट व्हेन वी टॉक अबाउट अप्रैल, मई एंड जून, बट जुलाई हैज बीन क्वाइट स्ट्रॉन्ग विथ मोर देन 8% रिटर्न्स फ्रॉम निफ्टी एंड सेंसेक्स। अगर इसमें सेक्टर्स की बात करेंगे तो इसमें मेटल्स जो है उसने करीबन 16% का रिटर्न दिया है और रियल्टी या फिर कैपिटल गुड्स है, एफएमसीजी सेक्टर, दिस ऑल सेक्टर्स हैव डन वेल। ग्लोबल फ्रंट पे अगर हम इंडियन मार्केट को कंपैरिजन करेंगे तो इंडियन मार्केट हैज परफॉर्म्ड वेल। द अदर इंडाइसेस व्हिच हैज आल्सो परफॉर्म्ड वेल इज नैस्डैक और इवन आप S&P 500 है। तो बारिंग चाइना, जहाँ पर थोड़ा सा ग्रोथ कंसर्न हुआ है या फिर कोविड रिलेटेड जो इश्यूज हुए हैं, वहां पर एक हमने नेगेटिव रिटर्न देखा है. But there are multiple factors which drove Indian market in last month. Like if you see the commodity prices that had softened, मानसून में काफी अच्छा पिकअप हुआ है. इन्फ्लेशन हाई है लेकिन वो फ्लैटन हो रहा है, वो इम्पोर्टेंट है. एंड मानसून का अगर हम डेटा देखेंगे तो वो काफी अगर जुलाई मंथ में जो पिकअप हुआ है उसकी वजह से अभी जो क्यूमुलेटिव रेनफॉल है दैट इज 9% अबव द लॉन्ग टर्म एवरेज. एंड एक्सेप्ट फ्यू रीजन, जो बाकी ज्योग्राफी है मोर और लेस काफी अच्छा मानसून का देखा है हमने. एंड सोइंग हैज आल्सो पिक्ड अप, रिजर्वॉयर्स लेवल्स आर क्वाइट हाई. और इवन अगर फोरकास्ट की बात करेंगे मानसून का फॉर नेक्स्ट 2 मंथ हैज आल्सो बीन क्वाइट स्ट्रॉन्ग. वी कैन से एवरेज रेनफॉल हम लोग देख सकते हैं अगस्त एंड सितंबर में. तो अगर कमोडिटी की बात करें तो कमोडिटीज प्राइसेस जो सॉफ्टन हुई हैं उसमें एक बड़ा रीजन है कि हमने देखा है कि स्लो डाउन या फिर कॉन्ट्रैक्शन जो देख रहे हैं जीडीपी वगैरह में इन डिफरेंट कंट्रीज, ये एक काफी बड़ा फैक्टर रहा है. प्लस सप्लाई साइड भी इज आउट हुआ है थोड़ा, तो उसकी वजह से जो मेटल्स या फेरस एज वेल नॉन फेरस वहां पर काफी सॉफ्टनिंग हमने देखा है आफ्टर अ पीक. स्टील प्राइसेस फॉलन एंड सेम इज द कॉपर. तो इसका एक पॉजिटिव इम्पैक्ट फ्यूचर में हमें एक अर्निंग पे दिखेगा बिकॉज लॉट ऑफ कंसर्न्स ऑन द रॉ मटेरियल कॉस्ट फ्रंट वाज देयर फॉर कॉर्पोरेट, so that will ease out. इवन एफआई सेलिंग, जैसा मैंने बोला कि वहां पर एग्रेशन काफी कम हुआ है. तो लास्ट 9 महीने की बात करेंगे तो एफआई ने काफी ज्यादा सेल किया है. लाइक अगर मई और जून की मंथ की बात करेंगे तो वहां तो मोर देन 50%, सॉरी 50,000 करोड़ का कैश मार्केट में सेलिंग हुई है. लेकिन वही अगर जुलाई की बात करें तो वहां पर 6,500 करोड़ की एक सेलिंग हुई है. तो ये एक एग्रेशन जिन सेलिंग हैज कम डाउन. इनफैक्ट अगर आप जो स्टार्टिंग अगस्त मंथ का भी अभी टिल नाउ द डेटा हैज बीन क्वाइट स्ट्रांग. So due to that, we have seen Nifty in this last 1 month has gained around 2,300 points. Coming to inflation, जो कि एक कंसर्न रहा है. अगर डोमेस्टिक मार्केट में इन्फ्लेशन 7% के अराउंड है और Q1 अगर FY23 का इफ यू सी द इन्फ्लेशन दैट इज 7.3%. But if you look at, if we compare this with RBI ka estimate, that it is lower than that, around 20 bits lower than RBI's estimate. And given the fall in the commodity prices and petrol and diesel prices stabilizing or even unchanged at the current level, we can see 30 to 40 bits lower inflation vis-a-vis RBI's forecast in the coming quarters as well. तो अगर हमारा जो अनुमान है कि बाय Q4 FY23 इन्फ्लेशन शुड कम डाउन टू 4.6%. तो ये एक पॉजिटिव साइन हमें लग रहा है कि इन्फ्लेशन कंसर्न, जो सीपीआई इन्फ्लेशन कंसर्न है, वो ईज आउट होगा. तो रूपी फ्रंट पे अगर आप देखेंगे तो रूपी काफी डेप्रिशिएट हुआ है. तो अगर आप जस्ट 1-2 क्वार्टर पहले की बात करेंगे तो इट वाज around 74-76 range and now it is around 80. It touched 80 rupees per dollar. So that was the peak we have seen in rupees. But उसके बाद जो आरबीआई का इंटरवेंशन हुआ है उसके वजह से और जो ओवरऑल जो रेट फ्रंट पे भी जो गवर्नमेंट की पॉलिसी, इवन जो कमोडिटी प्राइसेस को चेक करने की जो गवर्नमेंट का जो स्टेप्स रहा है उसकी वजह से एक रुपी को स्ट्रेंथनिंग मिली है और मोरलेस अभी इट इज बिलो 80. इट हैज फॉलोड ऑफ कोर्स डॉलर इंडेक्स का भी आप देखेंगे तो वो भी एक 108 के लेवल से नाउ इट इज अराउंड 105-106 लेवल्स. तो उस ट्रेंड की वजह से भी हमने देखा कि रुपी में मूवमेंट आया. बट अगर आगे की बात करेंगे रुपी का जो डेप्रिशिएशन है इन द लॉन्ग रन दैट इज पॉजिटिव फॉर द एक्सपोर्ट्स ड्रिवन बिजनेसेस. इन द शॉर्ट रन जो अगर अभी थोड़ा कूल ऑफ हुआ है रुपी में उसकी वजह से एक इंपोर्ट पे बहुत बड़ा कंसर्न हो बिकॉज वी आर नेट इंपोर्टर. तो इंपोर्ट बिल काफी इंक्रीज होगा, ये एक अनुमान है. बट यही अगर रुपी थोड़ा सा स्ट्रेंथन होता है तो वहां पर हमें थोड़ा सा बेनिफिट मिल सकता है इन द नियर टर्म. कमिंग टू द ग्लोबल चैलेंज, जो कि इस पूरे मंथ का सबसे बड़ा अगर फोकस रहा है, तो ग्लोबल चैलेंज हम देख रहे हैं तीन फ्रंट पे। फर्स्ट ऑन द इन्फ्लेशन, जो है ग्लोबल इन्फ्लेशन, आप यूएस का सीपीआई देखेंगे 9.1%, यूरो जोन का 8.6% है। इवन ग्लोबल जो फॉर द डेवलप्ड मार्केट, IMF forecast around 6.6% kind of inflation. So that is on a higher side. इवन इकोनॉमिक जो इंटरेस्ट रेट की बात करेंगे, तो इंटरेस्ट रेट भी इंक्रीज हुई है। रिसेंटली फेड ने 75 बिप्स से इंटरेस्ट रेट इंक्रीज किया है। तो नाउ द फेड इज एक्सपेक्टिंग फर्दर rate hike will depend upon how would be the inflation data and the job data in US will be. So based on that, they will take a call. We'll discuss it again. Even यूरोपियन सेंट्रल बैंक ने भी वहां पर आफ्टर 11 years 50 बिप्स से रेट हाइक किया है। तो एक राइजिंग इंटरेस्ट रेट सिनेरियो है, और इसकी वजह से हम इनफैक्ट अगर हम देख रहे हैं कि जो स्लो डाउन दिख रहा है, इकोनॉमिक स्लो डाउन, यूएस पीएमआई नंबर जो हम देख रहे हैं लेस देन 50 है। इवन सेम विद द यूरो जोन, इवन द आईएमएफ हैज डाउनग्रेडेड द ग्लोबल जीडीपी estimates. So now they are forecasting 3.2% for 2022 vis-a-vis the जो 2021 में हमारा जो जीडीपी ग्रो हुआ था, ग्लोबल जीडीपी ग्रो दैट वाज एट 6.1%। तो वहाँ एक स्लो डाउन हमें दिख रहा है। कमिंग टू व्हाट इज देयर नेक्स्ट इन द रेट हाइक, ऑन द रेट हाइक फ्रंट, तो फेड ने तो इंडिकेशन दिया है कि नेक्स्ट मूव विल डिपेंड अपॉन डेटा, बट ब्रॉडर जो कंसेंसस आ रहा है कि 75 बिप्स से एक रेट हाइक हो सकता है। आरबीआई जो अभी पॉलिसी आनी है 3rd से 5th अगस्त के बीच में, वहां हमारा एक्सपेक्टेशन है कि 50 बिप्स से एक रेट हाइक आएगा। और इनफैक्ट अगर आप देखेंगे इसमें रीजन व्हाई दिस इज रिक्वायर्ड इज बिकॉज इन्फ्लेशन इज स्टिल एट एलिवेटेड लेवल ऑफ अराउंड 7%, एंड अगर जो ग्लोबल पॉलिसीज हो रही है उससे भी सिंक करना है आरबीआई को, सो इन दैट वे वी कैन एक्सपेक्ट 50 बिप्स रेट हाइक। फर्दर वी कैन सी फॉर द रेस्ट ऑफ द ईयर 85 बिप्स रेट हाइक likely, and that by Q4 FY23 and 5.75% का हम रेपो रेट देख रहे हैं। नाउ अर्निंग सीजन अगर बात करते हैं, तो अर्निंग सीजन में एक ऑप्टिमिज्म बिल्ड हुई है, बिकॉज ऑन डिमांड फ्रंट द कंपनीज आर स्टिल गेटिंग गुड बिजनेसेस। आप अगर आईटी कंपनीज की कमेंट्री की बात करेंगे, तो दे आर क्वाइट ऑप्टिमिस्टिक ऑन फ्यूचर डिमांड। so they expect that the global IT deals will continue in the coming quarters as well, despite uncertain macro environment. However, in our view, this optimism will be tested, of course, because in the second half, जो कि economic slowdown का impact है on the spending of the corporates will be there, and due to that, we may see some risk on the deal pipeline also in future on the in the IT business. Regarding banks and NBFCs, we see strong momentum in the asset growth for banks and NBFCs. So this is partly driven by inflation and also partly driven by demand. Given the inflation trajectory is trending downwards, this is on an expected line in future. We don't expect much material impact on the demand. So corporate side एक optimism बनी है. Of course, margin पे pressure आया है, but we'll see how the earnings estimates will look like post Q1 FY23 results. So how we see market ahead? So we believe that the markets has largely digested all these Fed rate hike or the recession fears, and all those things are already discounted in by the market. In fact, now डोमेस्टिक फ्रंट पे अगर हम देखेंगे तो वहां पर काफी एक फेवरेबल इंडिकेटर्स दिख रहे हैं, लाइक इन्फ्लेशन इज फ्लैटनिंग और एफआईज आर लेस एग्रेसिव ऑन सेलिंग, मॉनसून में पिकअप हुआ है, इवन अगले 2 महीने का भी अच्छा ही फोरकास्ट आ रहा है, कमोडिटी प्राइसेस हैव सॉफ्टेड, and valuations, though not cheap, but it has corrected from the peak. So coming to valuation, when we see it has reached around 24 times on forward. Now it has come closer to its upper band, so that gives some comfort. हमारा जो एस्टिमेट्स है निफ्टी का 806 रुपए FY23 का है एंड 932 फॉर FY24. So on that, Nifty is available at 21 times on 23 and 18 times on FY24. So there is valuation, we are on the upper band, but in near term, if we see, there is no major event apart from RBI policy, which is market is expecting around 35 bips to 50 bips rate hike. But after that, we have Fed policy in September. So that's what the market will look. So in the meantime, for next 1.5 months, we'll follow the global market trend. In terms of risk, when we say the risk will be on the geopolitical front or crude, because the crude is still at around $100 per barrel. So if anything, any surprise from that comes in, then we may see some unexpected movement in the market. So now, looking at this, now we are moving to topics. So we are coming out with 8 topics for the month: M&M, Sapphire Food, ICICI Bank, Axis Bank, SRF, Cummins India, Reliance, and Infosys all buy. I'll be taking you through Supreme Industries. So Supreme Industries, where we have a buy rating and we have fair value of 2210. So Supreme Industries are one of the major player in the plastic pipes business, and it caters to different sector. It is a very strong player in the PVC pipes business. In fact, it is the largest in PVC pipes player, catering to housing demand and all. So we see robust demand environment in the coming quarters, because लॉन्ग टर्म डिमांड जो है अफोर्डेबल हाउसिंग या पाइप वाटर टू ऑल जो कि नल से जल स्कीम की वजह से है, बट शॉर्ट टर्म में भी अगर हम देखते हैं तो पॉलीमर प्राइसेस करेक्ट हुए हैं. एज आई सेड, द कमोडिटी प्राइसेस सॉफ्टन, तो दैट विल आल्सो हैव अ इम्पैक्ट ऑन द डिमांड. तो उसकी वजह से एक सितंबर ऑनवर्ड्स द मैनेजमेंट इज एक्सपेक्टिंग क्वाइट स्ट्रॉन्ग डिमांड to pick up, because in June quarter and the July quarter is really monsoon season where the construction activity is slow. So second half is expected to be quite strong for Supreme Industries. In fact, Q1 results on a low base was quite strong. More than 60% revenue growth was there, and volume was more than 50% growth was there in volumes as well. And अगर margins और रेवेन्यू की वॉल्यूम की गाइडेंस की बात करें तो मैनेजमेंट इज एक्सपेक्टिंग 15% वॉल्यूम ग्रोथ एंड 15% EBITDA margin. ROE and ROC is over 20%. That's the track record of the company, and we have valued the stock at 29 times on FY24 earnings per share, and we have a buy rating on the stock, and we have a fair value of 2210. So that's it from my side. Over to Amit for his take on his stock.
Thank you, Pankaj. I will be taking you through Sapphire Foods. We like Sapphire Foods. We have a buy rating on the stock with a target price of 1425. Sapphire Foods is a franchisee of Yum brands in India for KFC and Pizza Hut, in Sri Lanka for Pizza Hut and Taco Bell, and in Maldives for KFC and Pizza Hut. Currently, it is operating around 600 restaurants in these 3 countries. हमने एक बॉटम अप एनालिसिस किया है कंपनी का, उससे हमें अंदाज ऐसा लगता है कि सफायर फूड्स 180 KFC स्टोर्स एंड 160 पिज़्ज़ा हट स्टोर्स साउथ वेस्ट ऑफ इंडिया में ऐड कर सकती है, टेकिंग द टोटल काउंट टू अराउंड 400 ओवर द नेक्स्ट 3 फाइनेंशियल ईयर्स. और ये लार्ज मेजॉरिटी ऑफ द स्टोर्स विल लाइकली ओपन इन न्यूअर मार्केट्स एंड माइक्रो मार्केट्स, एंड वी डू नॉट एक्सपेक्ट एनी मीनिंगफुल कैनिबलाइजेशन. Key watch-out areas are competitive intensity in QSR space and competition from Popeyes and McDonald's, and also progress of पिज्जा हट टर्न अराउंड। मोटा मोटी हमें ऐसा लगता है कि कंपनी 23% रेवेन्यूज CAGR एंड 36% EBITDA CAGR देगी ओवर द नेक्स्ट 3 फाइनेंशियल ईयर्स, और 350 बेसिस ऑपरेटिंग मार्जिन एक्सपेंशन होगा to 13.9%. We also expect the internal accruals to meet the capex requirement. Free cash flow generation start हो जाएगा FY24 से, और there would be also improvement in return ratios. तो आप मोटा मोटी देखें तो हमें सफायर फूड्स ऐसा लगता है कि it's one of the fastest growing QSR chains in India over the next 2 to 3 years. The company is also very well placed to ride on the space of QSR industry tailwinds and capitalize in absolute relative under penetration of KFC and Pizza Hut in India. Attractive valuations offer additional comfort. हमने उसको डिस्काउंटेड कैश फ्लो मेथोडोलॉजी से वैल्यू किया है, और हमारा फेयर वैल्यू है 1425 विद अ बाय रेटिंग। इनफैक्ट हमें QSR स्पेस अभी बहुत अच्छा लगता है, और हमारे 2 बाकी स्टॉक्स जो है देवयानी इंटरनेशनल और जुबिलेंट फूडवर्क्स, ये 2 स्टॉक भी हमें बहुत अच्छे लगते। दैट्स इट फ्रॉम माय साइड। ओवर टू अरुण फॉर हिज टेक ऑन M&A.
Thank you, Amit. Good evening, everyone. In the automobile space, we like Mahindra and Mahindra. The stock has been in action. In fact, the stock, I think today did a new 52-week high as well. Overall, over the past 4 months, we have seen good interest in the stock in terms of activities and in terms of share price movement as well. Overall, one of the key reasons what has helped the stock is the new launches with what they have done in the SUV segment, and that has generated good response. This Saturday, when the company opened bookings for Scorpio, and it received tremendous response there, and the stock reacted to that positively on Monday morning yesterday. Overall, the outlook on the passenger vehicle industry looks pretty outbeat at this point in time. The company had launched Thar some time back, then we had XUV 700 from the company, and now Scorpio N. And all these products have done pretty well for the company, and the company has got strong order book position in the passenger vehicle segment, which gives a good amount of clarity or good amount of visibility in the passenger vehicle segment growth over the coming months and quarters for the company. The other thing that needs to be watched out in Mahindra and Mahindra is on the electric vehicle side. We already saw recently the company announced investment by British International Investment towards an EV arm, that's electric vehicle arm. And we could see some more action in the coming days or weeks and maybe months, from the company on this particular side, or that's on the electric vehicle side. Tractor is another key segment for the company. The growth right now is a bit sort of soft at this point in time, but with good monsoons, and if there is pickup in tractor demand, that would additionally give further momentum to the earnings growth for the company going forward. The other business with the company is the light commercial vehicle. There too, we expect steady growth for the company going forward. So all these things put together gives a good revenue growth visibility. Apart from this, on the margin side, I think there are 2 key levers here. One would be the operating leverage that the company could get by strong volume growth, and other is the correction in the commodity prices. I think in one of the charts which Pankaj had showed earlier during the presentation, we have seen a good amount of some correction happening in the commodity prices, and this ideally would be helping the auto companies together, largely from second half of FY23 if the commodity prices remain here or continue to decline from these levels. So that's another positive trigger for Mahindra and Mahindra in terms of earnings growth. In terms of valuations, the company remains pretty attractive. It's not very, very expensive, and we like the stock, and we have a fair value of 1400 rupees on the stock. The company will be declaring the numbers this week. That's on 5th of August. So we have a fair value of 1400 rupees on the stock and a buy rating. Over to Himali.
Thank you. The stock from the banking space, we have 2 stocks. One we have ICICI and one we have Axis. ICICI is our top pick, and it is one of the best investment ideas that we have. Especially at this time, we believe it is the best idea in large cap. One of the reasons for that is that the ROE has normalized and it's currently best in class. It is, and now it reported an ROE of 16%, which would be among the best in the industry. Its other operating metrics like NIM have converged to best in class as well. So its NIM is 4%, very similar to HDFC. It reported a 16% growth in operating profits, 60% fall in provisions, and these credit costs are almost zero. So therefore, these metrics are very positive and they're sustainable. We believe that it is in a very good position to take advantage of growth opportunities that exist. Its book has now diversified to a very large extent. And we therefore believe that the share of mix between secured, unsecured retail and wholesale will not put too much risk on the balance sheet. It's also now focusing on the mid-market segment, and it is likely to leverage its distribution with that. So we believe that it will be able to deliver the superior growth and risk-adjusted returns in the medium term that it is currently reporting. We are a buy on the stock with a fair value of 975. Another stock in the same similar stable is Axis Bank. We believe it's well positioned to re-rate from this level. Now, it is a good business to own after ICICI Bank. We believe that its operating metrics are converging with its peers, that is ICICI Bank, which we see as the direct peer. Asset quality is also not showing any signs of concern. In the short term, there is some outflow for payment to Citibank, but we are positive on the opportunity that Citibank provides or the book of Citibank provides to them. We do not therefore see any downside risk from the current levels, and we are buy on the stock with a fair value of 960. I now hand it over to my colleague for further stocks.
In the commodity space, we have a commodity, I mean to say, whether it's a chemicals or a metals. So we are having a stock which is a big is SRF, where we have a buy rating with a fair value of 2,660. अगर आप देखो तो first quarter's earnings of SRF was quite strong and which were largely expected, where EBITDA grew 48% year on year and 5% sequentially. This was largely driven by the refrigerant market. Where you can see then the fourth pointer where the refrigerant market is seen holding prices and margins are fairly steady. So we believe that definitely on the year-on-year basis and even in the coming quarters, we will see a strong numbers coming from the refrigerant business. And the company's other segment has also reported a good sequential growth in their operating performance, which I'm talking here about EBIT. On the revenue front, if you look, the revenue grew by 44.3% year on year, and while EBITDA was up 48% to the tune of 995 crores. Though management has given a cautious outlook for the packaging film because of a rising commodity prices, but that will be offset by a bullish outlook for the chemical segment, where we foresee a improvement in the margins when the chemical or when the raw material prices started coming down. So we have seen the commodity prices getting softening. However, the benefit of the same will start coming on from the later half of second quarter of FY20 and the 23, and larger benefit will come in FY24. And taking that into consideration, we expect the earnings to grow at 26.9% for FY23 and 16.5% for FY24 for SRF. So given a positive outlook, we have a buy rating on SRF with a fair value of 2,660. That's all from my side. Over to Sumit.
So we are recommending Reliance Industries. Obviously, this gives a lot of stability to your portfolio and also give returns. In the last 5 days, it has given already 7% return. Now the fair value is 2,980 rupees, and we have arrived at this fair value based on sum of the parts valuation method. When I'm saying sum of the parts valuation, क्या मतलब होता है इसका? इसका मतलब है कि कंपनी के अंदर काफी अलग-अलग बिजनेसेस हैं, जिसकी इंडिविजुअल वैल्यू कैलकुलेट करके उनको सम करके हमने देखा कि उसकी फेयर वैल्यू कितनी बनती है. अब हम लोगों को लगता है कि इसकी जो अर्निंग्स है विच विल ग्रो बाय 24.4% इन FY23 एंड 19.1% इन FY24. इतनी बड़ी कंपनी का इतने हाई बेस पे इतनी अच्छी ग्रोथ कैसे आ रही है वो देखते हैं अपन. इसका जो ENP बिजनेस है विच इज उसका आउटलुक हमें काफी अच्छा लग रहा है. क्योंकि उसका प्रोडक्शन वॉल्यूम बढ़ रहा है और प्राइस इंक्रीज एक्सपेक्टेड है फ्रॉम 1 अक्टूबर. तो वॉल्यूम ग्रोथ भी मिलेगा प्लस प्राइस इंक्रीज भी मिलेगा, तो रेवेन्यू अर्निंग्स इंप्रूव हो जाएगी उसकी. रिलायंस जियो जो है विच हैज ब्रॉडन नाउ हैज वायरलेस ब्रॉडबैंड मार्केट शेयर ऑफ 53%. सो इट इतनी बड़ी कंपनी अपना मार्केट शेयर इतना स्ट्रांग रख रही है तो रेवेन्यू फ्लो तो आने ही आना है इसमें. सेकंड, रिलायंस ने अपनी लीडरशिप पोजीशन मेंटेन करी है इन एफटीटीएच सर्विस with 80% market share of new customer addition. This is not a joke. This is a big number which Reliance is mentioning. So ये स्टॉक को अपने पोर्टफोलियो में ऐड करके आप अपने रिटर्न्स तो इंप्रूव करेंगे, प्लस पोर्टफोलियो को इन्हें वोलेटाइल मार्केट में काफी स्टेबिलिटी भी देगा. और इसका जो थर्ड इंजन है विच इज रिलायंस रिटेल, which has added 792 new stores, taking the total store count to 15.9,000. So what I'm trying to figure out is कि 3 different businesses हैं जो risk आपकी काफी diversify हो जाती है. It is not just that Reliance energy पे focus है. It is focusing on consumption story of India. It is focusing on energy story of India. Next stock from my side is Infosys. Again, a large cap company which will give a decent decent stability to your portfolio at a very volatile markets. We are recommending buy with a fair value of 1,690 rupees. See, company ने अपनी guidance FY23 के लिए बढ़ा दी है from 13 to 15%. ये क्या मतलब क्या है इसका? How should we interpret? ये guidance बढ़ाने से क्या मालूम चल रहा है? 2 चीजें हमको बहुत क्लियरली दिख रही है कि कंपनी के पास कैपेबिलिटी है टू फुलफिल सच बिग ऑर्डर्स. सेकेंडली, वो मार्केट शेयर गेन करती जा रही है, वॉलेट शेयर इंप्रूव हो रहा है, मतलब क्लाइंट्स आर सेटिस्फाइड, दे आर गिविंग मोर एंड मोर ऑर्डर्स टू द कंपनी. इनफैक्ट Q1 FY23 का जो नंबर Q1 FY23 सॉरी Q1 FY23 के नंबर्स देखते हैं तो कांस्टेंट करेंसी रेवेन्यू ग्रोथ 5.5% आई है, which it's a very one of the best numbers the company has reported. Client metrics has improved. उसका मतलब क्या है कि जो 5 करोड़ के ऊपर के जो क्लाइंट्स हैं वो 69 हो गए, मतलब एक क्वार्टर में 5 नए क्लाइंट ऐड करें. That again is a quite positive. So we have valued the company on 25 times on FY24 earnings, leading to a fair value of 1,690 rupees. So we remain very bullish on now we open the floor for question and answer.
Thank you, Sumit sir. Dear participants, thanks for being patient. We will now open the floor for Q&A. Please drop your questions in the comment section below. Starting with the first question, Tapas Bahera wants to know our view on UPL. Jatin, can you please take this one?
So UPL, if you know, that company had come out with the numbers yesterday and they also raised their guidance. But however, yes, that looks good. But if you look on the number front or the balance sheet front, the debt is been continuously going up, which is probably a major reason for the correction that we have seen today. Even after the management gave a good guidance, now the increase in debt is largely associated to the increase in the working capital and the spike in the rates in the Latin America. So business currently seems very hard in terms of generating a cash flow given the working capital pressures. And as a result, we have cut the numbers for 23-25 by 9 to 10% because of the higher interest expense and lower rating by a notch to add. We will wait for an execution on the balance sheet front. That will be the key things to watch out for UPL. Otherwise, on the business front, on the P&L front, the performance continues to remain strong. And we currently have a ad rating with a fair value of 875.
Thank you, Jatin. Next question is for Amit sir. Amit sir, you have a couple questions on Sapphire Foods. One is Sanya Mittal is asking, what discount rate is used for Sapphire? And Ashish Patel is asking, Devyani Food and Sapphire Food both have KFC and Pizza Hut on website. So can you please explain?
Yeah, see, Devyani and Sapphire both are very large franchises of same brand, that is Yum. And Devyani is primarily like they have an agreement that they won't be breaching their area, and they are primarily present in north and east part of India, while Sapphire operates only in west and south of India. So they have their area completely understood, and there is no breaching of each other's proper area rights. So both are operating individually, and both are big franchises of Yum brand. And we are positive on both the franchises. We have a target price of 1425 for Sapphire and 151 for Devyani International. Both are yet to announce their Q1 FY23 numbers.
And also, if you could answer first participant's question, what discount rate is used?
See, discount rate is a very dynamic function. Like it does not stay constant at one point of time. Like it keeps fluctuating. It depends on how much risky you see the markets are. What is the government coupon rate in the market? Assuming the government coupon rate currently is at around 6.5%, and the market risk premium that you assume is around 6%, so we can assume a discount rate of around 12.5%. See, it's also a function of how much debt you have in the books. Both these franchises don't have any debt in the books, so for both the franchises we can use a discount rate of around 12.5%.
Thank you, Amit sir. Moving on to next question. From banking sector, Himali, we have a couple questions. Can you give your views on HDFC Bank, Axis Bank, and Star Health?
Right. So HDFC Bank, we have a fair value of 1,650. We like the franchisee, but we've said this a number of times that in the medium term, in the next 18 months, it is undergoing a merger with its parent, the corporation, and there are some uncertainties with regards to that. If your time horizon is a longer term time horizon, I think it will be a good value buy for an investor. When we say longer, 2 years and above. Coming to Star Health, we currently underperform rating on it because the valuation is too high for us from our perspective. And having said that, we like the franchisee and its market share, and we are very positive on the health insurance space. It has been reducing its corporate business and it's increasing its retail business, which is a positive from its strategic perspective. So despite this time around, its overall top line was a little muted. From a strategy and a business model perspective, it is in the right direction. And which was the third one?
It was Star Health.
And the third one, Star Health, HDFC, and
Axis.
Yeah, and as we have spoken about Axis, we have a bias on the stock, and we believe it will re-rate from this current level as its operating metrics are converging in line with other peers like ICICI, which is somewhat improving towards being best in the industry. So we have a buy on the stock.
Thank you, Himali. Next question is from Pratima Agarwal. She wants to know the view on Dr. Reddy. Purvi, can you take this one?
Yes, thanks, Rini. So on Dr. Reddy's, we have an ad rating and the target price is 4,520. That's a 10 to 11% upside from today's closing. So if we see the result for the quarter, there were certain one-offs. So excluding that, it was a weaker quarter. But why do we have an ad rating is basically because excluding the US market, we are seeing good growth across the other markets like India and Russia and other markets as well. In US, the entire growth is hinged on one of the product called Revlimid, where the company is planning to launch it in September 22. So if you exclude that, we expect that the growth in the US is going to be a little weaker. But on an overall front, the underlying EBITDA margin, guidance is also quite strong. And in the US, one of the silver lining is that they're not facing too much of a pricing pressure. So that's all positive. So that's why we have an ad rating. However, in the sector, we feel it's Cipla and Sun, which are our top picks and will likely to do better compared to Dr. Reddy.
Thank you, Purvi. Moving on to next question. There are a couple questions from auto sector. Arun sir, Karan Sharma is asking what is your target on Maruti? And second question is, can you just give your view on EV segment stocks and sector?
Sure. Our current target price on Maruti is 8150, while we are optimistic and positive about good volume growth and margins improvement also for Maruti. However, we believe the valuation slightly on the higher side, and hence we have actually pitched Mahindra and Mahindra also initially in a call, where we believe apart from growth, the valuations also are attractive. Coming on to EVs, in EVs is still a pretty small portion in terms of revenues or volumes, whichever we want to look at. There are certain small companies which have, from an industry perspective, they're still small, but there are certain companies where EV revenues do form a significant part, and these are smaller companies where we really do not have coverage at this point in time. And we believe these companies would stay, they're still small in size and would remain a bit volatile. The valuations, a lot of these companies are on the higher side. One of the companies that we have under our coverage is Sona BLW Precision, where we have a sell rating though, because the valuations of the company is high. The stock is trading close to around like more than 50x on FY24 numbers, which is a big premium to a lot of auto stocks what we see. So we really don't have a lot of pick right now to choose from on the EV side, given that we believe that we will be carrying a good amount of risk because there could be volatility in earnings, or any earnings miss or volume miss from these companies can see steep correction in stock price. And we have already seen that. If you look at the prices of these companies last month, when there was some market correction, we saw 30, 40, 50, 40% decline in the stock prices for some of these companies. So we need to be a bit careful at this point in time. Overall, EV will evolve from a medium to longer term perspective. And in the auto space at this point in time, from larger names, we are positive on Maruti. We are positive on Mahindra and Mahindra, Ashok Leyland, Bajaj Auto, and Tata Motors.
Thank you, Arun sir. Next question is from IT space. Ruchi Singh wants to know our view on Tech Mahindra, and Madhu Reddy wants to know our view on Wipro. Sumit sir, can you please answer these questions?
So Tech Mahindra, we are bullish on Tech Mahindra with a fair value of 1,200 rupees. There are some headwinds in the short term, but that is across the sector. Margin pressure is faced by all the companies. It is not just Tech Mahindra. In fact, if you look, the 5G has been launched in India and the auction has already been done. So broadly, one of the biggest beneficiaries because of that will be Tech Mahindra. So we remain positive on Tech Mahindra, but in the IT space, our top pick always remains Infosys. Coming to Wipro, we are not very positive on it. In fact, we have a reduced rating on the stock. So Wipro, you can avoid for the timing and focus on Infosys or Tech Mahindra.
Thank you, Sumit. Okay, I see one of our participants, Tapas Behera, is again asking about UPL. Tapas, you can watch our webinar later offline. Jatin already answered your question. Moving on to next question. Can you please give your views on Coal India, Jatin?
So Coal India, yes, if you look at the numbers which company recently reported to the exchange, where they reported a weak production in the month of July, which stood at around 54.5 million ton, and increase of 8% year on year. So despite an unfavorable base with 16% year on growth in July 21, the production volume was not at great because of the problem at their WCL mines, which have restricted the volume growth. So definitely amongst the largest subsidiary that is there, which is contributing to one number, is the MCL and NCL, which reported a healthy dispatch volume of 16.3 million ton. Sorry. Secondly, the only key benefit that we are looking, because of the increasing crude prices and the fuel prices, the Coal India has also increased the prices in the near term. So that's the reason the e-auction
premium have spiked substantially with premium at 357% for June 22, though cooled down a bit from the month of May, reflect a strength in the price of the imported coal. And the dispatch to the power sector also grew 28%. Definitely, Coal India at this point of time is basically a hold at this point of time, and it's a dividend play. And uptick in the e-auction volume augurs well for the e-auction volume, and e-auction realization augurs well for the company.
Thank you, Jatin. Next question is for Pankaj sir. Pankaj sir, can you give your views on L&T?
So on L&T, we are positive. So this is the stock if someone wants to play on the infra story. Apart from not only just from the infrastructure, even if somebody is looking to take an exposure to capital goods or even defense side, L&T is present. If you look at the order book is having some 3 times FY22 revenues, and the order pipeline in terms of the deal pipeline that we can say is quite robust. It's around 6 lakh crores. So that gives you a decent long-term view visibility on the stock. We have a buy recommendation on the stock, and target price is 200 to 2,000 rupees.
Pankaj sir, you have one more question. How do you view the defense stocks in the short to medium term?
So defense stock, as I have earlier also stated, like we have been quite positive on the sector as such, because if you look at opportunity in the space is unfolding in future because of more focus towards exports and less dependence on imports. Most of these companies are now been told by government like to focus more on the indigenization. So we have large PSUs like HAL, BEL, BDL, all are focusing on indigenization and also the new products and various categories. Like HAL has order book of more than 80,000 crore, and that is roughly 3.5 times of the forward revenues. And even in terms of visibility, if we see the order book can grow further based on the various projects which are there in future. So we are positive on it. We have one stock under coverage, and somebody has also raised a question on BEL. So BEL, we have a reduced view. We have a target price of 250 rupees. So overall, if you see execution and the order inflows are strong, and the company has given very good results in Q1. However, the valuation, if you look at it, is trading at some 20 times, 22 times on a forward basis. So we have a reduced based on the valuation, and that that's the view on the stock.
Thank you so much, Pankaj sir. Next question is from Amit Bagmare. Last few trading sessions, market is opening on gap and highly bullish. For the ones who wish to go long, has the train already left, or there is some scope of correction after which could go long? Shrikant sir, would you like to answer this one?
Yeah, sure. I think so, like technically, if we see the market, then after crossing the levels of 16,900 or 17,000, multiple times, almost 4 times, we saw the market was opening with a gap, and the market actually managed to sustain about those gaps, and eventually we saw the levels of 17,400 in today's date. So whenever we see such type of market, one thing is very clear, that because of the exhaustion, we see such type of gap. Because of the short covering also, we see such type of gap, and because of the global environment of the equities, so which actually helped the market to open higher. This time, a number of factors actually played out, and in that, if we see, then crude was around some 109, 106 dollars per barrel. From there, all the way it has fallen to the levels of 100, which is positive. Dollar index नीचे आ गया. Currency अगर आप देखेंगे तो अपनी जो currency थी वो from 80 it came down to the, I mean to say, it appreciated to the levels of 79. Today, in fact, it was around 78.6. So एक बात काफी क्लियर है कि 17,000 के बाद हम लोगों ने एक बड़ा शॉर्ट कवरिंग देखा. हमें भी लग रहा था कि वेरी शॉर्ट टर्म में 17,000 के ऊपर मार्केट को जल्दी से जाना उतना आसान नहीं है, लेकिन ग्लोबल फैक्टर्स को अगर आप हमेशा अगर फोकस करेंगे, अगर उस माइक्रो डेटा के ऊपर फोकस करेंगे, तो आपको पता चलेगा कि आपकी स्ट्रेटेजी क्या होनी चाहिए. और इसी वजह से ऑलवेज वी ट्राई टू explain in our podcast or in our updates that we need to see that how actually the short-term trend of the market is developing. In the long run, the market is going to spend some time between the broader range of, let's say, 18,000 and on the downside maybe 15,000 or 16,500. But agar very short term ki agar baat kare, to after opening this on a gap on a higher basis, gap to gap, we are of the view that the market will certainly try to fill these gaps in the near future. We are not saying that it will fill all the gaps, but yes, जो लास्ट 2 दिन के गैप है वो शायद मार्केट फिल कर सकता है. इवेंट भी आ चुका है, तो यस पॉसिबल है कि हम लोग 17,200 और मे बी 17,000 पे देख सकते हैं. बट ऑन द हायर साइड ऑलवेज हमें लग रहा है कि ये मार्केट एक बार शायद 18,000 के लेवल्स को रीच कर सकता है. सो इफ देयर इज एनी करेक्शन देन वी शुड बी बायर with a stop loss, and on immediate basis I think 200-day simple moving average which is around 17,000 is going to act as very good support for the market. So उसी एक लेवल का सपोर्ट पकड़ के चलो. ये मार्केट में अभी भी हमें ऐसा लग रहा है कि काफी सारे शॉर्ट पोजीशंस है और FIs now have started creating long positions on the FNO segments. सो वो भी हमें फोकस करना काफी जरूरी है. कैश में उन्होंने ऑलरेडी बाइंग स्टार्ट कर ली है, करेंसी ऑलरेडी नीचे आ चुका है. सो बाय ऑन डिप्स की स्ट्रेटेजी रखें.
Thank you, Shrikant sir. Now, due to time constraint, I'll take one last question. Sunil Maiti wants to know your view on Apollo Hospital and DV's lab. Purvi?
Yeah, thanks, Rini. So on Apollo Hospitals, we've recently upgraded the stock to buy rating, and the target price is 4,710. If we see for the company will announce their numbers in the next week, that's around 12th of August, and we expect that the numbers should be better. Across the hospital segments, we feel that most of the hospitals should report a good number since all the economies have opened up. So COVID is behind us, and people have started venturing out for essential surgeries and everything. So I guess the numbers should be good enough. The key thing that we'll be watching around is that the fundraise that they have been talking about for the healthcare company. So if there is any further delay in that could be a little bit of a dampener. As far as Divis is concerned, we have a reduced rating on the stock. That's mainly on account of, if you see FY22, so one of the COVID drug, Molnupiravir, had a larger contribution to their, earnings, which we expect that from FY23 should not be coming in. So we expect that the Q1 numbers, which will be announced on 11th of August, we expect 5% degrowth in the top line with a profit decline of around 15%. And, the management commentary will be something that we should be looking forward to. Thanks, Vinay.
Thank you, Purvi. Dear participants, we now end the Q&A session here. I would like to call upon Shrikant sir for any closing comments.
Sure. So there are a number of questions on which I think it is very difficult to answer all those queries. But few people are asking about Zomato, Apollo Hospitals, on which Purvi has already explained, and we have a bullish view on Apollo Hospital. Also, Pidilite and Bharat Electronics, some defense related stocks, because a lot of people have interest in stocks like Bharat Electronics, BDL, HL. They are into action, and the news flow is also there. So technically also we are bullish, but fundamentally we need to study all these companies deep in details. For Zomato, we have a target of 80, and based on the result, we have actually upgraded buying price from 78 to 80 levels. Broadly, we are of the view that the company should do well, and if there are any old investments, then we should be buyer even at current levels. That's the broader view on Zomato. For Pidilite and for Asian Paints or Berger Paints, Kansai and Rolac, I think the overall industry is doing well, and they have reported decent numbers. So there also we are expecting that these companies to do well in the long run. In the short run, the valuations are very, very strange. But yes, if we go through with the trend of crude prices and the currency appreciation, I think it actually helps to the industry. And see, like now there are players, and these players are very big enough to handle any sort of economic cycle. I'm to say, even if there is a downturn in the economic cycle, then also these corporates can manage to their companies, and maybe that's the reason the investments are going into these companies. So एशियन पेंट्स आपने देखा होगा कि जैसे ही गिरा वैसे ही वो बढ़ गया है, वी शेप रिकवरी में कन्वर्ट हुआ है। और कई सारे स्टॉक ऐसे होते हैं कि जहां पे कॉर्पोरेट्स आर सो स्ट्रॉन्ग कि उनको इकोनॉमिक साइकिल से डेफिनेटली फर्क पड़ता है टेम्पररी, लेकिन ओवर द पीरियड वो अपने कंपनीज को मैनेज कर लेते हैं और इवेंचुअली हम अच्छी रैली देखते हैं। रिलायंस इंडस्ट्रीज के ऊपर किसी ने पूछा है, एंड फॉर वेदांता ऑल्सो। सो फॉर कोल इंडिया, वेदांता, टेक्निकली वी आर बुलिश. फॉर Reliance Industries, we have a target price on which already Sumit discussed, and we are bullish on it. हमें लगता है कि थोड़ा क्रूड के साथ वो एक टेम्पररी फेज और निकाल सकता है, थोड़ा शायद इसी रेंज के अंदर वो ट्रेड करते हुए नजर आएगा, लेकिन इवेंचुअली हमें लगता है कि रिलायंस इंडस्ट्री टू डू वेल इन द लॉन्ग रन, और जो भी करेक्शन बिकॉज ऑफ दिस फॉल इन द क्रूड प्राइसेस आ रहा है उसे हम एज अपॉर्चुनिटी पकड़ेंगे टू बाय एंड होल्ड. काफी सारे मिड साइज बैंक में भी काफी सारी क्वेरीज है, बट हमें लगता है कि अगर वहां पे अगर फोकस करना है तो हमें लगता है कि कैनरा बैंक पे फोकस किया जा सकता है. महिंद्रा एंड महिंद्रा फाइनेंस के ऊपर हम बुलिश है. वैसे काफी सारी कंपनीज है कि जहां पे आप फोकस कर सकते हैं, लेकिन इन्वेस्टमेंट्स करने के लिए जो हम सिलेक्टिव स्टॉक्स आपको दे रहे हैं, आप वहां पे ज्यादा फोकस कीजिए और कीप इन्वेस्टिंग, क्योंकि इस मार्केट में अगर आप देखें तो ये मार्केट काफी एफिशिएंट मार्केट है. कई सारी चीजें, ये सब डेटा पास्ट में अवेलेबल नहीं होता था, अभी इट इज लाइक फ्रीली अवेलेबल ऑन ऑल द वेबसाइट. अगर आप देखें तो जो डॉलर इंडेक्स है वो 105 के करीब आ चुका है, करेंसी अपनी 78.6 के करीब आ चुकी है, या तो 10 ईयर बॉन्ड यील्ड की अगर बात करें तो दैट इज अराउंड 2.50. सो व्हाट इट मींस दैट कि जो आने वाले शायद जो सितंबर में फेड की जो मीटिंग है वहां पे ऐसा नहीं लगता है कि कोई बड़ा कोई रेट हाइक आएगा, और इसी वजह से डॉलर इंडेक्स भी नीचे आ रहा है, क्योंकि और रेट हाइक आने वाली नहीं है. डेफिनेटली आएगी, 75 बिप्स आ सकती है या तो मे बी 50 बिप्स आ सकती है, लेकिन जो 100 बिप्स का जो एक डर बना हुआ था दैट इज नॉट देयर, एंड मे बी बिकॉज ऑफ दैट डॉलर इंडेक्स थोड़ा सा कूल ऑफ हो रहा है, करेंसी अप्रिशिएट हो रही है, इंडियन करेंसी. और 10 ईयर बॉन्ड ये है वो अच्छा खासा करेक्ट हो रहा है, 2.50 2.53 के % के करीब आ चुका है. सो ऑल दिस फैक्टर्स को अगर आप क्लोजली वॉच करोगे और हमारे जितने भी सोशल प्लेटफॉर्म्स है अगर आप हमें फॉलो करते हो, तो आई एम वेरी मच श्योर कि आप लोगों के लिए एक काफी अच्छा एक इंफॉर्मेशन प्लेटफॉर्म ये है, और आपके लिए काफी सारे इंफॉर्मेशन जो आपको मार्केट से रिलेटेड होती है वो मिल सकती है. So that's it. This is what we are expecting about the market. Over to you.
Thank you, sir. I hope our participants found our webinar useful, and I think Shrikant sir answered quite a few queries today. So if you still feel that your queries were not answered, come back again next time. And do follow us on our social channels, Telegram, Instagram, Twitter, if you haven't already. So thank you for tuning in today. Have a good evening ahead. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.